Bette Grande grew up in a small town with faith and family at the center of her life. She graduated from college, married her high school sweetheart Don, and raised 3 children.
Well, I grew up out in Williston, North Dakota. Actually had 5 generations at one time living in Williston together. I grew up at the feet of my great-grandmother. I just really would spend a lot of time at her house. She was a patriot of a woman, and Dad was a paint contractor. He worked for his father, and then we all would work in the shop. Some of the lessons I learned was come do a job and do it well, and leave the business or the house that you were working in better shape than you found it. Just like everybody else, my faith developed over time, and when we started having our children, and we just said, you know, we have to have that base, that foundation to really stand on. And so we sought out and found some churches that really served our needs as far as expanding our knowledge of God and our seeking out a deep understanding of what it was, the sacrifice of Jesus Christ on that cross, so that we could relate to that and understand and really receive the grace that cross stands for. So faith and family melded together, and so that's kind of the root I have.
Inspired to serve by her great-grandmother, she answered the call to run for the North Dakota legislature, where she's developed a reputation as a bold, tough-as-nails conservative who isn't afraid to cut taxes, defend the unborn, or stand up to the pension bosses.
The life movement is so very important to me, because if I'm not standing for life, what have I stood for? If I don't have the value of life, what else matters? One of the things I did in the legislature is I have stood up to Planned Parenthood, and one of the bills I promoted was that an ultrasound with a heartbeat be offered to every woman that came through the door. We also brought in a definition that you are severing a whole and separate human being during an abortion, and the RU 486 compliance to FDA and physician follow-through. Well, you know, on all the various bills that I've put out in Bismarck, I have had pressure from many groups at various times to, yep, you know what, don't take this on. That's too big of an issue. And one of those issues would be the pension issue. It's an unfunded liability that is out of control, that is lending to the issue of our children and grandchildren going to have to pick up a huge debt. Yes, our children and grandchildren. The taxpayers are eventually the ones held responsible for this unfunded liability that the pension programs put in. And I knew I was right, and I stood on the principles, and we kept fighting forward.
Never one to back down from a challenge, Bette Grande decided it's time to shake things up in Congress. Bette Grande won't be one of those weak-kneed Republicans. She'll stand up to Obama and defend our North Dakota values.
Well, the 3 most important things to tackle in Washington is first and foremost getting the spending under control. We must cut spending. The second thing is to pull Obamacare out by the root and eliminate it in totality. Third is get the regulators out of the way. We need to control EPA. We need to know that our businesses can work without worrying about government stepping in at a moment's notice and shutting them down. I don't covet Washington. I want to go there, fix it, make it better for my children and grandchildren, and come home and live the laws I pass. I think that the Beltway boys need to be shook up. They'll find out that there is somebody that is going to just stand on principle. And now that they have that established, then they can work with me.
Bette Grande needs your help. So go now to www.bettegrande.com and register as a delegate or show your support.